Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, just in this class, just I will try to just give. So last time, so those many new joined the class now, so they're not able to just they have missed the earlier class. So that can just I will just overall able to just cover up the first two units. So that can be just next class will just go further. Right. So in this one, the history of communication. So that way, so what is the history of communication? So human beings, social animals to share the, I mean, human beings are social animals. So that to share the excitement, achieving the success, hunting our sorrows when the deer, I mean, it's the past away, when encountered, I mean, the kind of a communication. So why, how it should be able to just generate, why, but what kind of information? So the concept, the kind of information the kinds of sorrow and joy that will able to share with the persons, the other persons. That will the main intention, that kind of a main goal, main way that will able to just able to establish the communication with the other persons. So today's as a human beings, we have learned to communicate in every aspect of our lives: intimate relationships, social, political, survival, and the transfer of knowledge and
ఏంది?
traditions, spiritual,
ఏమో
uh,
మరి నేను స్టడీ చేసిన ఇప్పుడు.
philosophical, and social.
ఆడ ఆడ వచ్చిన బెడ్ మీద ఉండే.
Yes, yeah. Uh, Social, political, survival. And today's communication, we're discussing about today's communication, how to build this knowledge, how we'll transferring that knowledge, spiritual, as I mean, philosophical beliefs and business, all through the written and spoken languages. So that's made a communication way. So we'll divide the communication history. So, like I mean, ancient history, medieval Indian history, and the modern history, and the present. So that way, four ways we'll able to distribute, so that we will discuss so each one. So first we'll think about the ancient people of India. So have a continuous civilization since the prehistoric age of 4000 BC to when I mean people began to live. So that is the way, that way initially the communication, they initially gather in the northern part of the India. Hunting was their main only profession. So but after a long time in 4000 BC, they moved to the Indus River Valley and took farming as their main profession. So that is the way when we discuss about the civilizations, how it will be ancient people will just move to other region, Indus region, so that can able to just start farming. Next, communication methods in ancient India. So as a hunter-gatherer, settlers into the small villages and began to plan ahead for how to plant, store, protect, and trade and sell their food. They needed accounting system to keep track of their material and record transactions. So that way, the I mean earlier way, so the kind of a way, the kind of a thinking about so how to plan ahead for how to just plant, how to store, how to protect, how to trade and sell their food. They needed an accounting system as well as to keep track of their material and record transaction. They realized, so that way they will the kind of a development started. While such transactions were initially tracked with the actual objects that symbolized an amount. For example, the five pebbles representative five measures of grain symbols, likely carved into a clay, later served as the primary method of record keeping kind of thing. So this is way. So how they were able to get the measuring methods, the identification of the particular pebbles that will able represented as I mean weighing aspects, so that can they will gain.
నిద్ర లేచి గుర్తుకోవాలి మనిషిలాగా అనిపించారు క్లాస్.
Yes, right. Uh, yeah. So this is the pebbles that weighing measures. I mean how they develop next. Uh, likely carved in a clay, later served as the primary method of record keeping. Next, the ancient period begins with the Indus Valley civilization. So in 2300 BC, so unique contribution of IBC, Indus Valley civilization, to Indian communication system was the introduction of the seal made of a terracotta and stone. So that way, the kind of a during the Indus Valley civilization, the kind of a seal invention through the kind of a early communication that established through identification of the uniqueness will identify. So what are the tools? They were tools of communication, both for communication and information. The nearest equivalent term for history used in Sanskrit literature, like itihasa, which literally means thus it was, so it has been. The purpose of itihas was to refer to the event of the past in such a manner as would. Yeah, good song. Thank you. Right. The purpose of the Itihas was to prefer to the events of the past in such a manner as would relate them the goals and purpose of the Hindu tradition. So Itihasa, that way able to just through Itihasa, we were able to narrate, we were able to get the information about the so whatever happened in the previous age. So Vedas, most important, sorry. Vedas are the most important source of information on the Vedic age. Vedic age marks a new phase in ancient Indian history, which began with the arrival of the Aryans in India around 1500 BC. Later, Vedic literature comprised of the following books, that is three Vedas: Samaveda, Yajurveda, Atharveda. So these are the ways, so information that kind of compiled, that can be forwarded to next generation. That is the literature that Vedic comprised of the following Vedas: Samaveda, Yajurveda, and Atharveda. So during the Vedic period, the historical tradition grew out of the variety of literature. But variety of literature forms current during the Vedic period. So of these, most significant were the gathas. Gathas means songs through whatever is king or maybe a person or maybe person who is able to narrate through songs, gathas. Next, Nasms is evology of heroes, then Vyakarna, dramatic narratives, and Purana, ancient lore. So that way, these are the way the earlier communication methods, earlier communication aspects through this way, through these aspects that we are able to communicate with people of the next generation as well as the through these narrations. Next, two major two epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. So include the elements of historical tradition, which arose largely from the attempts to provide antecedent order to connect the origin of the tribes and geographical location with the heroes of the somewhere yes heroes of the epics and the genealogical sections to indicate relationship at various levels between the gods and the heroes. So that way, so that these these popular epics that able to narrate, that able to establish, that able to just give the brief idea of the tradition, brief idea of the administration, the kind of way, the kind of a behavior, the kind of a the communication that we're able to just communicate with others, and as well as been just from the top to bottom. So that kind of information, that kind of through these Ramayana Mahabharata is able to get the information. According to some of the historians, it was composed around some 3000 years BC. So political communication was highly evolved to deal with the finer aspect of the international relations, include trade, commercial relations. In the Sundarakanda of the Ramayana, Hanuman is selected as the ambassador to the court of Ravana to deliver the message from Sugriva and his ally Sri Rama to return Sita. So these are the kind of a message that able to generate, that able to get first the considered Hanuman as the great communicators who just given just taken the message and able to just go to them in Ravana and deliver the message and just warn the Ravana to just return the Sita. This is a message, early message that will through Hanuman able to just disseminate it and just give it. The great Itihasas of the Mahabharata also proved that several great monarchs of the time was also yes. Yes, somebody just right. Yes,
Windows card. Card na card
yes, could you please do you have any doubts? Yes, thank you. So great Itihasas of the Mahabharata also proved several great monarchs of that time also upheld interstate relationship. Sri Krishna led a diplomatic mission to the court. Yes, could you please mute your audio so that it will be easy for me just proceed further. Yes, please. Okay.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yeah, it's audible. Great, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, just we're discussing about the epics. So the yes, somebody could you please
Can you just mute yourself now?
right, thank you. Yes, we're discussing about the epics. So in epics, the great Ramayana and Mahabharata, how it will just evolve, how the what kind of a role it will play. The great Itihas of the Mahabharata also proved that several great monarchs of the time also upheld interstate relationship. Sri Krishna led a diplomatic mission to the court of sorry Kauravas at Hastinapur to plead the case of the Pandavas. So the Krishna is considered as a great diplomat during this period. So he will just convey the message of the Pandavas. He is able to convince the Kauravas. So the kind of a way the kind of he will try to just build a relationship through some effective communication. He want to just express, want to put forward the message of the Pandavas, the kind of way, so that the kind of rapport, sorry, not rapport, the kind of information is forwarded to the Kauravas. So he's considered a great diplomat. Next. Next, Maurya and Gupta period. So as Malhan in 92, so illustrate religions or religious places of worship employed every available medium of communication in that period. In addition to bathing places, tanks, river banks, seashores, chowpals also acted as a form of communication. It is also evident that the education institution equally played a significant role in activating the process of communication in India in the past. So these are the popular places. So wherever in religious places or maybe chowpals or maybe tags, they will use the message. You will just coin the message, just inscribe the message, the pass on the message. These are the places where they will able to highlight the message of the maybe Raja or maybe the person will able to. These are the popular places. They use the use the platforms to just communicate with the other persons. This is played a crucial role as a communicators. These are the places. Next, yeah, as instead religious places, river banks. This is a way past. Next one, just moving. Yes, discuss about the Maurya. Sorry, Mauryan place. So yeah, period was germane to the evolution of the major political and social institution in ancient period. So Maurya period was considered as the main kind of thing. That way, communication institutions and social institution in ancient period started. Then Puranic texts which were compiled and rewritten from the time of Guptas, that is the 4th century. So the Puranas that will rewritten. So whatever just in degraded state, they are again rewritten and just passed on to the next generations. So medieval India, if you wanted to talk about someone who was far away, you had to write them a letter and send it by a private messenger. The letter was written on the parchment, the skin of a sheep or goat with the ink made of a soup mixed with the gum and acid, a goose quill pen. So this is a goose quill pen. So how it will be used? So that way you want to communicate, you want to just pass on the message, you want to just give the message to the other people or maybe to other territory people or maybe other regions. So you need to just the way of communication, the way of letter sending is started. This it will written on the skin of a sheep or goat with a ink made of a soot mixed with the gum and acid and a goose and a quill pen. That will message will send to the other persons or maybe other regions. So the kind of a letter sending is started in the medieval period. In Mughal period, so Muslims mostly ruled the medieval period of India. So historically, it was also known as the Mughal period. The establishment of the Mughal rule in India saw the organization of a communication along more advanced lines. Instead of the oral tradition of the announcements by the town criers, written reports were also in circulation. So during the Mughal period, so apart from the oral communication, the written form also became more popular in the Mughal period. So Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb established an efficient system of information offices. Newswriters were appointed at the Bureau of Intelligence maintained in every provincial capital. These newswriters, also as known as the Vakya Nakvis, were responsible for recording the occurrences of important events in the district or provincial level, were made to file report to the headquarters of the administration. So whatever the local people, they will just pass on the message, whatever the activities, whatever the activities going on the regional province level, it will written, it will send to the headquarter of the administration. So that can administration headquarter of the or maybe the head of the region or maybe provincial, he will know the local people aspirations, the kind of a people of behavior or maybe activities, and based on the reports, I mean the head of the institution or maybe head of the provincial, he will take the appropriate decisions, reforms. So that is where the Vakya Nakvis importance was more in Aurangzeb period. So we will be news writers at Vakya Nakvis. Next, the news writers worked as in liaison with the governor or a local administrative official, presenting them in a favorable light to the central authority. The chronicles commissioned by the Mughal empires are an important source for studying the empire and its court. So whatever the information that will gathered at the local level, I mean the news writers work with the liaison with the governor, with the local governor, local administrator, and is keep the information and just compile in a particular way, so that can the Mughal emperors, other next generation will be able to study and take the decisions. So that is the way that is given the basic information, so that they can make reform, they can make decisions on administration as well as the chronicles commissioned by the Mughal emperors are important source for studying the empire and its courts. Their titles such as Akbar Nama, Shah Jahan Nama, Alamgir Nama. That is the story of Akbar, Shah Jahan and Alamgir, the title of the Mughal ruler Aurangzeb. So suggests that it's in the eyes of their authors, the history of the empire and the court was synonymous with that of the emperor. So that way, the kind of the administration, the kind of a people, the titles that are given to the rulers at the particular periods, that will also reflect, that will also reflect as well the highlight the author who was written, was given the titles, it will be compiled and it will be passed on to the next generations. This manuscripts, all the books in the Mughal India were manuscripts, that is, they were handwritten. Yes, something is moving. Yes. Sorry. All books are in Mughal period India. So all manuscripts that were they were handwritten. The center. Yes.
अरे वेद बात कर रहा हूँ भाई मैं.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Yes, sir. Fine, sir. Thank you. Hope you are also doing well.
अभी जो अभी जो क्लास लिए ना सुजाता मैडम है क्या वो?
No, it's left, sir. So already left. So this is a new link, no, sir.
No, already left. I know. I know that. Who was that person?
Anuradha madam. Rahimbek sir.
रहीम बेग
हाँ
साहब
बोलो। हाँ
अनुरा
बोलो बोलो।
10:30 to 11:30 कोर्स टू सुजाता मैडम थे।
अब आप क्लास लिए सो कौन जी? सुजाता मैडम थे क्या
आप
वो?
सुजाता मैडम, हाँ
हाँ, उसका क्या है उनका वो
ठीक है
कोर्स
ठीक
है?
है, वो बाद में
क्लास?
देंगे। लेट्स क्लास कंटिन्यू।
वो
हाँ,
आपको
फोन फोन
जस्ट
कनेक्ट हो रहे हैं तो।
नहीं नहीं, अब लिंक आपको मैसेज किया गया है, वो हिसाब से जस्ट विल जस्ट गो विद द लिंक सर।
अरे तुम्हारे जैसा मेधावी नहीं हूँ भाई मैं।
सही सही
मैं
सही
अनपढ़
सही है
हूँ।
सो right.
नहीं,
That's
मैं अनपढ़ हूँ, तुम्हारे जैसा मेधावी नहीं हूँ मैं।
no, no, not like that, sir. Not like that easy thing. So everybody can also, you are a great intellectual. Since
हाँ,
this age you are studying means that kind of a that will have the zeal as well as enthusiasm. That enough it will shows the kind of a man you are, sir.
no, it is not the credit area. I don't know the technology of ABCD. That is
Yeah, so
the
go with the
problem.
stream. The stream will the people other people will can let you know sir, how to just go as a
No,
stream.
somebody has to let me know. Somebody has to teach. You operate this, you operate that. Then only I will be able to know the technology.
Yes,
Without
yeah, yes.
without knowing ABCD of the technology, how can I go? Not possible. Online classes.
Yes, it's a simple
Okay.
kind of thing.
Uh,
Just follow the
uh,
link, click on the link provided to you. Just enter the password. You will land in a class, sir. Simple thing.
you simply said that, but I don't find so far link.
Yeah, it will. You will be accustomed to the way, sir. So right now this may be the first one. So you will be accustomed to the way. So the in the further classes as well as so the first initial hiccup, sir. It will all will get settled down. No problem.
Uh, uh,
Right.
okay.
So we are.
Where are you now? Where are you now?
Yes, it might. So yeah, right now I'm at home, so I'm taking online class, sir. Yes, I'm
You are
discussing.
attending?
Sorry.
Yes, I know that you are discussing very much. Hmm. How is summer?
Yes, it's a great now, so it's hot, very hot.
Hmm. Now,
रहीम
whose
बेग साहब,
class is
क्लास चल
next?
रही है,
You
आप
are
थोड़ी
going.
थोड़ी देर के लिए खामोश हो जाइए। क्लास चल रही है, आपकी बात से क्लास डिस्टर्ब हो रहा है। आप थोड़ी देर रुक जाइए, जो पढ़ा रहे हैं वो सुनिए। हिस्ट्री ऑफ इंडिया की क्लास चल रही है, आपके पास किताब है हिस्ट्री ऑफ इंडिया, वो क्लास देखिए। उसके साथ ही अभी क्लास चल रही है, आप सुनिए क्या पढ़ा रहे हैं। आप बात करने से बाकी के 30 लोग आपका सिर्फ आपकी बात सुन रहे हैं, क्लास नहीं चल सक रही है।
वो ठीक है साहब, हमारे को नहीं आ रहा ना लिंक लेना।
नहीं, आप सुनिए फिर
ओके
लोग,
ओके।
आप सिर्फ सुनिए, आज क्लास सुनने के लिए है। फिर हम आपको बताएंगे कि सर आप आ गए हैं क्लास में, आप क्लास के अंदर ही
हम
हैं, आप सुनिए क्या चल रहा है।
ओके ओके। अभी अभी बोल रहे हैं क्या मैडम?
सर पढ़ा रहे हैं, सुनिए क्या पढ़ा रहे हैं।
Right, sir. Thank you so much. Yes, yes, sir. We are discussing about the initial period. I mean, initial periods, how the communication evolved over the period of time. So we're discussing about the Vedic period and the Maurya period and the and the what are the manuscripts, how it will evolve over the period of time. So we are discussing about the medieval. Just getting into the medieval period. So we're discussing about the Mughal Empire. So during Mughal period, so how communication evolved. So all books in the Mughal India, so were manuscripts. That is, they were handwritten, and the center of manuscript production was the Imperial Kitab Khana. It is called the Imperial Kitab Khana. All the compiled books were available at the Kitab Khana, so that people can retrieve, can able to just go through the whatever the from time to time the kind of a reform, the kind of addition they are taken. So everything will compare in the book form. So the next generation will pass on to the next generation, so that next generation able to just go through this kitab khana and retrieve the information, whatever the information is available, and go through the particular information. The kitab khana can be translated as a library. So it was scriptorium. So that is a place where emperors collection of manuscripts were kept and new manuscripts were produced. This is the Kitab Khana library where all manuscripts were preserved. Next, we'll get into the modern period. So through media, though media and reporting were practiced during the Mughal times in India, the press in the modern sense came into the existence in the early part of the 19th century. The first newspaper bulletin brought out by officials of the East India Company mainly as a means of exchanging the gossips and to just aid the grievances. That is the first way, that way how it will started. The Bengal Haruku and Bengal Hikis Gazette were examples. The company authorities did try to this curb it earlier, so but it was essential an exchange of ideas between its British employees and the management. The Rammohn Roy, one of the men responsible for the infusion of a new ideas in the country, also started the first nationalist newspaper. It was called the Miratul Akbar. So that way, how the newspaper in a modern way will taken place, how it will started. Next, sorry. Yeah, the 1957 event signaled the diminishing power of the middle feudal classes like jamindaris and the rise of the new middle classes belonging to the profession who had received a new Western style education. The Mahatma Gandhi's Harijana and Ramananda Chatterjee's Modern Review can be mentioned as examples. Writers such as Bengal Bankim Chandra Chatterjee 1938 and 1893 and 38 to 1894. So attacked the colonialism and created their own brand of nationalism. That way, how it will be just modern India started. The company had installed a printing press in Mumbai in 1674 and provided a generous supply of types and newspaper. Another press installed in Madras in 1977-72. So an official printing press was established in Calcutta in 1979. It is significant in the context that the first attempt to start a newspaper in Calcutta was made in 1776 by Mir William Bowles, who had resigned from the company's service and earlier that year and after censored by the Court of Directors provide private trade under the company. So next moving on to the August Hickis started Bengal Gazette, Calcutta General Advertiser. This was a Bengal Gazette as Calcutta General Advertiser considered in the first issue of which he introduced himself as the late printer to the Honorable Company. Two-sheet newspaper devoted considerable space to the scurrilous attacks on the private lives of the servants of the company, including the Governor General Warren Hastings himself. A personal attack on Mrs. Hastings, an attack on one Siemens Rose, Colonel Thomas Dean Peirce, and a Swedish missionary John Acharya commander soon landed Licky in trouble. So this kind of attack, this kind of writings, so attracted attracted the kind of go on just writing the against the company officials, so that will get the ire of the British India Company and just he get the fine as well as. So Hickey was sentenced to 4 months imprisonment and fine up to 500 rupees during those days. So that way, initial period, so writing the against the British India government that attracted fine as well as imprisonment. The first newspaper in Madras, Madras Courier, came into existence in 1785 as an officially recognized newspaper and founded by Richard Johnson. The governor he was a governor printer. The Madras Courier continued without a competitor till 1795 when R. Hilliam started the Madras Gazette, followed a few months later by the Indian Herald, which was published without any authority by one Humphreys, who was arrested for the unauthorized publication, but escaped from the ship on which he was to be deported to England. So that way, initially, how it will be just a Madras Courier started his publication. Next, moving on to next modern India. Censorship was the first introduced in the Madras in 1795, when the Madras Gazette was required to submit all general orders of the government for scrutiny. by military secretary before the publication. So everything, so whatever, whoever just publishing, whoever just bringing out the publication, they are supposed to go for the pre-censorship. They need to submit to the generals, so that can they will just see go through the newspaper and that will able to just release. So that is the initial stage. The Mumbai first newspaper, the Mumbai Herald, came into existence in 1789. The Courier, which was published a year later, carried advertisements in Gujarati. The Mumbai Gazette was published in 1791, and the Mumbai Herald was merged into it the following year. Next year, it will merge with the Mumbai Herald, being recognized for the purpose of official notification and advertisement in the same terms as the Madras Courier. So, the kind of a merger, it will lead to the same kind of the combination that Madras Courier was there. The proprietor. So this is a kind of a thing. So who was the proprietor? So name of the proprietor. So the editor and the printer. This is information. The Bengal Haraku William Hunter. So he was the editor and the Arkath was the printer. So Morning Post, Archibald Thompson. So Paul Paris and Morley Greenway. Then Archie, the same kind of he was the editor and the Morley and same kind of a printer. So Calcutta Courier, Thomas Hollings. The Oriental Star, Richard Flemings, and the India Gazette, William Morris and Williams. These are the earlier papers that were started. So Asiatic Mirror, Charles Bruce and Charles this thing. This is thing. So I will close and then open the other one. Just give me 1 minute.
हेलो राइमबेग साहब।
हाँ बोलो, चले गया कनेक्शन है?
सर डिस्कनेक्ट हुए।
नहीं, I'm there. Just I'm loading another PPT.
ओके सॉरी सर, सॉरी टू डिस्टर्ब।
तुम पूरे बंदोबस्त में है मियाँ, तुम हमारे को सबको भी बेवकूफ बना के तुम आराम से सुन रहे।
नहीं, मैं आपके जैसा ही जब पढ़ने का शौक है मेरे को।
है ये पूरे इतने
टेक्निकल इशू
बड़े
है तो टेक्निकल।
कान के मुंह के लगा ले के है ना, हमारे को क्या है? हमारे को नोबडी इज देयर टू टीच अस हाउ टू लॉग इन एंड लॉग आउट। ये क्या है, हमारे को नहीं मालूम ना।
जियो।
मैं बोला कर तुम्हारे घर को आ, तुम नहीं आ बोल। मैं मेरे बाबा से बात कर रहा हूँ, मैं कूलर लाने जा रहा हूँ। ऐसे फालतू आंसर आ रहते हैं तुम्हारे पास से। सब कभी भी जेन्युइन आंसर बोलना सीखो बड़े अभ्यास से। कूलर भी एक लाने की चीज है ये।
नहीं, स्पेयर चाहिए
ठीक
बोल
है,
के बोल
क्या
रहा
है समझ नहीं आ रहा क्या बात है।
अभी तो क्लास तो अच्छे से कनेक्ट करें आप। क्लास तो अच्छा अटेंड कर रहे हैं आप। अभी क्या प्रॉब्लम है
नहीं
कुछ?
नहीं नहीं आ रही ना
हेलो।
वॉइस है। हेलो
हेलो।
रहीम साहब,
हेलो।
रहीम साहब,
हाँ बोलो।
कुछ नहीं, क्लियर है साउंड, एक ठीक से सुनाई दे रहा है।
नहीं आ रही भाई साउंड,
पता
नहीं सुनाई दे रहा बोल रहा हूँ ना मैं।
आप क्या बोलते हैं, नेटवर्क इश्यू हो सकता है। विंडोज कुछ ओपन करो, देखेंगे।
ये फालतू बात मत करो मियाँ। ये विंडोज ओपन करना डाउन करना आया तो तुम्हारे जैसे अज्ञा से डिपेंड कई रहते हैं अपन है।
रहीम साहब, आपके पास ईयरफोन है?
क्या बोले मैडम, क्या बोले साहब?
ईयरफोन, ईयरफोन।
आपके पास क्या वो जो कान में लगाने के आपके, आप फोन से कर रहे हैं या आप कंप्यूटर से कर रहे
नहीं, मैं डायरेक्ट ले रहा हूँ भाई से।
हैं? फोन से देख रहे हैं आप?
हाँ फोन से देख रहा हूँ।
अच्छा, आपके पास फोन में वो मतलब ईयरबड्स नहीं है कान को लगाते तो ईयरफोन्स?
नहीं नहीं है साहब, नहीं है।
वो एक ले लीजिए, आपको
हाँ
आसानी
वो।
होगी, क्योंकि ये फोन से जरा मुश्किल से सुने आता। अगर आप वो
अच्छा।
कनेक्शन ले लिए, वो ईयरफोन का एक प्लग वो ले लिए एक, अगर उसमें क्या है कान को लगाए तो जरा साफ सुने आता, आपको समझ में भी आता क्या बोल रहे हैं, क्योंकि अब ये
बराबर बराबर, अब तो
आपके
आपकी
डिस्टर्बेंस में आपको
वॉइस
सुने नहीं है।
एकदम समझ में आ रही मेरे को। द वॉइस है, इट्स वेरी क्लियर। आई एम एबल टू हियर ऑल व्हाट यू आर सेइंग। आई एम एबल टू हियर नाउ।
अब क्लास में भी वही चल रहा ना सब, अब इसमें फर्क क्या है? थोड़ा
पता नहीं
आपको
फिर।
थोड़ा साफ सुने आने की वजह से ईयरफोन्स ले लीजिए, आपको मतलब बेहतर सुनने आएगा और समझ में आएगा।
ओके। आप कौन बोल रहे हैं? अबे सिद्दीकी साहब बोल रहे हैं? अबे
मैं नया हूँ साहब, अनीस अहमद है मेरा नाम, मैं दूसरी जगह से बात कर रहा हूँ।
अच्छा, अजीज अहमद साहब का।
आपका
ओके
वीडियो
ओके।
आप माइक्रोफोन से कनेक्टेड है मगर वीडियो से ऑफ है। अनीस अहमद साहब,
हाँ ठीक है, मैं कर देता
परवाह नहीं, आप जैसा
हूँ।
सहूलत है वैसा
नहीं
यूज
नहीं,
कीजिए।
अब वीडियो की तो जरूरत नहीं है, माइक्रोफोन साफ रहता तो साफ समझ में आता, इसलिए मैं बोलना चाहता
हाँ, नो
हाँ
प्रॉब्लम,
ठीक है।
कैसा भी कंटिन्यू कर सकते हैं।
नहीं नहीं, मैं ले लेता हूँ, शाम में जाके ले लेता। माइक्रोफोन है।
हूँ। हाँ, फोन से
माइक।
अगर आप लगा के करेंगे तो आपको साफ सुनेगा, आपको समझ में आएगा, वो बताना
नहीं
चाहता
नहीं, अब तक के आपकी
Yes.
वॉइस एकदम साउंड है, क्लियर है, सुने आ रहा। मैं आपसे इंटरैक्ट भी कर रहा हूँ मैं।
Right, sir. It's,
हूँ।
my next PPT is visible, sir.
यस सर,
डॉक्टर
यस।
शमी।
Right, sir. Right, sir. In this PPT, yes, we'll discuss about the role of the press and freedom movement. Just a minute.
कैरियर सर।
Yes. So British government introduced a number of legislations from time to time. So what has been, so many people started from the different places of the from different places of India. So then it will realize the importance, the realize, I mean, kind of the growth, the momentum that newspaper is focusing against, writing against articles and columns and just bringing out the information against the then I mean British governments, they started to just curb, just control the newspapers. The British government just introduced a number of legislation from time to time to curtail the freedom. The Indian newspaper became highly critical of Lalittan's administration, especially regarding its human treatment to the victims of famine in 1876 and 77 that happened. So this particular paper, so that's when more attacking on Litton's administration, that never able to handle that kind of a handling, that kind of a treatment that will during this famine period, that will kind of administration that will handle that written against the Litton's administration, that got the ire as well as next moving. Sorry. Yes, the government struck back with the Vernacular Press Act of 1878. The Vernacular Press Act was formulated to better control the vernacular press and effectively repress the seditious writings. So that way, the vernacular press were brought into that to control the regional press as well as the journalists publish the newspaper with still after, I mean, just bringing out just, I mean, this vernacular press act as well. So the, I mean, journalist has been continues to just write with the commitment and courage. Same. The ordinance was issued in 1823 by the acting Governor General John Adam, called the Adam Regulations, which made the restriction on the press more stringent. It laid down that every newspaper, journal, pamphlet, or printed material in any language should obtain a license from the Governor General in Council, signed by the Chief Secretary before publication. So whatever the publication, so Adam's regulations that made whoever just printing, whoever just bringing out the any kind of a newspaper, then able to just get the license from the Governor General, so that can, so Governor General know so what kind of a paper, what kind of a content the particular newspaper is planning just printing out. So that way, this Adams General has imposed so certain kind of a licensing system. Next, in the wake of the mutiny in 1857, the Lord Canning, Governor General, promulgated the Press Act of 1957, which reintroduced all the restrictions imposed on the press by Adams Regulation in 1825. So that kind of when it was introduced, then again it was reimposed the Adams Regulation 1957. In 1867, the law called the Press and Registration of Book Act 1869 was passed, which sought to regulate the printing presses and the newspapers by system of registration and to preserve the copies of the newspaper books printed. So the preserving the whatever the newspapers are printed, that was started the preserving the books and the newspaper, so that they can refer. So whatever the content written, they will be able to just go through and they able to take the appropriate action from time to time. The most controversial law against the press was passed by the Viceroyalty of Lord Lytton 1878, and it was restricted to the Indian-owned language press only. So Lytton was just only those who are printing, those Indian people who are just bringing out the newspaper, they will impose on the restrictions on the language press. The most controversial law against the press was passed during the Viceroyalty of Lord Canning in 1878. So it was restricted the language press. The Act of 1910 provided that every keeper of the printing press who was required to make a declaration under the Press and Registration of Books Act 1967 should at the same time deposit an amount of not less than 500 and more, not less than 500 or more than 2,000 rupees as a magistrate might require, which might be forfeited for violation of the law, and a fresh security was demanded. So whatever the information, whatever the is written, so that will be supposed they supposed to deposit, I mean security deposit 500 or more than 200 rupees, 2,000 rupees. So that can, if suppose whoever just violate this law, I mean those who will just write against the British government, the certain kind of a deposit will be confiscated and just forfeited. So that can they need to again take the again deposit the amount. That kind of a was, I mean, term during that day. So we're just moving on to the birth of the growth of the, I mean, Times of India. The first issue of the Weekly of Journal. Sorry. The first issue of the bi-weekly journal, which in later years became the Times of India, was published in Mumbai on November 3rd, 1838. So in 1861, so Robert Knight, the editor of the Mumbai Times, amalgamated his paper with the Mumbai Standard and combined the Telegraph and the Courier to form the Times of India. So Robert Knight was the first editor of the Mumbai Times, so who just merged the, I mean, Mumbai Standard and Telegraph, who, I mean, just combined the Mumbai Standards and Telegraph and Courier to form the Times of India. It was the first journal in India which started making use of the Writers' News Services in 1860. So Writers' Service, we know, so Writers' News Service is there, Writer ANI is there. So these are the news services that will avail, that first they have started using the news services, news agency services for news, taking the news from the Writers' News. So under the Knight, so Times of India established a great tradition of sober journalism, prompt presentation of news and community services. The kind of is just brought about reforms. So the kind of a presentation, the kind of a columns, the kind of a fonts, the kind of a technology, the whatever the technology at the particular during time is available, he used the appropriate technology and just able to deliver promptly and just able to concentrate the content. So which content has to be just placed at a particular appropriate place, and which content is should be get into the inside pages. So that kind of a reformation, the kind of a he concentrated more on the appearance of the paper. So that way it will just taken a new kind of aspect, so that could look as, I mean, more energetic, as more attractive newspaper. So when trained journalist Thomas Jewell and Bennett so became the editor of the paper, he brought about a series of improvements. He discovered the talent, devoted himself to the make the Times of India newspaper preferred by more and more people. Later, he became the sole proprietor. So when Thomas Jewell, so Bennett became the editor of the newspaper. For he also just brought about a new. Has also implemented. He also the take care that this paper was more preferred, and more people like to just read the newspapers, the kind of a content, the kind of a presentation. He's concentrated on the content as well as the presentation as well. So it became the proprietor of the newspaper. With the high standards in contents and excellence in the printing, the Times of India recorded continuous process of growth. So the kind of a standards that maintain the standards, the kind of a presentation, the excellence in the printing, that led to the just growth of the news Times of India newspaper. And important in the history of the Times of India was its transfer to the Indian hands in 1946. So that way, so in 1946, from the Britishers to from Indian, it will transfer to the Indian ownership. Next, discuss about the Statesman. The newspaper Statesman was founded in 1875 in Calcutta. The Englishman was started in 1811 by Robert Knight, who was previously the principal founder and editor of the Times of India. Knight founded the Statesman and New Friend of India on 15th January 1875, which later adopted the current name. So how it will Statesman started in Calcutta. Sorry. Statesman was managed by a British corporate group until it transferred ownership to an Indian company in the mid-1960s. The first editor assigned its new ownership was a Pran Chopra. So Pran Chopra was the Indian who just get the Statesman from the British corporate group. So the Statesman Award for rural reporting is presented to outstanding journalists every year, irrespective of affiliation, to further social uplifting and indigenous journalists. So that way, how it will be Statesman Award was established. Just got the importance for it's. Identified those who are reporting from rural India. So the rural news. So that those who are just producing rural news and reporting from rural places, they are just instigated. They have started one award for this best rural reporting. Then even giving the award to the rural reporting people. So rural reporting journalists. So next, the Hindu. So six young men, all in their 20s, founded the Hindu in Madras on September 20, 1878. Two of them, Subramaniam Iyer and the Veera Raghavacharya, stayed on later to become joint proprietor of the newspaper, which was started as a weekly and became a daily in 1889. So that way, how it will be just birth of a Hindu newspaper. So earlier, six Indian young men, they were for just willing to just start the newspaper. So they just come forward, and this later only two of them remained. Subramaniam and this Veera Raghavacharya stayed and this became the proprietor of the newspaper. And earlier it was started as a weekly, and then it was converted into daily in 1889. The Hindu is Subramaniam Iyer, who were from the beginning closely associated with the Congress. So, and Subramaniam Iyer had the distinction of moving the first resolution in the first Congress session in Mumbai in 1885. The close association was to continue even after independence. Subramaniam Iyer, who started life as a college lecturer, was a great social reformer. He used it to columns of the Hindus to propagate his views. That way, Subramaniam Iyer has continued. Initially, he was a lecturer. So then, because of his zeal, because of his enthusiasm towards journalism, so that way he was started just a newspaper and just and started. Became as a social reformer. So one aspect as a zeal as well as enthusiasm and just towards a social concern. So it's made him a social reformer. So he used his columns to just address the social issues. So Hindu changed the hands in the 1905. So when Kasturanga Iyengar, a lawyer, brought it and became its editor. So that way it will change it again. So then yes, Rangaswamy, the versatile writer, whose editorial was charged with the fervor and the emotions. So that way, there's Rangaswamy's strong editorial on the Punjab atrocities in 1919 led to the demand from the government for security of 2,000 rupees under Press Act. So Rangaswamy became the editor. So Rangaswamy was a versatile writer as well as the kind of a power, the kind of a more emotions he put into his art columns, his articles that able to just generate, that able to attract, that able to get more attention. So that way he will able to write through his articles, through his columns that are able to just more catchy one as well as more inspiring one. So Hindu's entry was then we'll just discuss about the how it will just Hindu was entry was banned in Britain in 1918. So because Nizam of Hyderabad also had the distinction of banning the Hindu in 1923 because he did not like some articles on Hyderabad published in the newspaper. So he got the Nizam's ire as well as in the 1923. So because some articles published against the Nizam rule, Nizam government, so that way it will the Nizam government as well as also banned 1923. Next, Rangaswamy Iyengar became the editor in the 1928. He performed duties of both an editor and a congressman. So he was a congressman. So earlier, whoever they attached to the Congress, so they also willing and also started the newspaper so that they can able to propagate the ideology, propagate uh, the struggle, the kind of a freedom struggle. They want to just inspire the people through the articles. They have started the newspapers. They also associated with the Congress. So next, Rangaswamy was secretary of the Indian National Congress for many years and also leading member of the party in the Central Legislative Assembly as well. So after the death of Rangaswamy Iyengar, Kasturi Srinivasan, the son of Kasturi Rangan Iyengar, took over as a managing editor of the newspaper in 1934 and remained in the post till his death 1959. So that way, so the episode of the Rangaswamy Iyengar, who was just after the death of the Rangaswamy, the Kasturi Srinivas was taken and became the managing editor and remained in the post till his death 1959. Next, it was the first Indian newspaper to have its own plane service for distribution of the newspaper to its far-flung readers in 1963. So that way, it will be able to just the kind of way to own the flight kind of thing to distribute the newspaper nook on the corner of the country. So it's owned the initially it was it will consider as the first newspaper. The Hindu was the first paper launched its facsimile edition in Coimbatore, later extended it to Bangalore and Hyderabad and Madurai. So for that, whatever the technology, whatever the new information, no innovation that take place, that will able to facilitate, that will able to give it this, try to adapt and just use it for the betterment of the Hindu newspaper. That way, whatever technology, that is, I mean, the kind of been facsimile that facsimile editions earlier launched in Coimbatore and later extended to Bangalore as well as Hyderabad and Madurai. Again, it was the first newspaper to introduce the phototype setting for printing the paper. So phototype kind of one type of a technology, one type of a way that you're able to produce, that you're able to speedily print the newspaper and also give the more elegance and as well as more attractiveness kind of a type of a printing press type. So in 1978, the Hindu brought out a sport weekly, Sports Star. So 1978, it's brought the Sports Star. So it's also more popular. So among the youth as well as Sports Star. So that we'll be able to just print articles as well as news items in the magazine format. So that was started in 1978. In 1984, the Frontline, fortnightly news magazine, made its appearance with the news pictures as its strong point. So till now, it's getting more popularity as well as so. It's been presentation, the kind of the pagination as well as the presentation has been more attractive as well as it also enjoying the patronage from the most of the readers as well as it also just offering a packaged manner. Those who will subscribe the this internet edition as well as the digital edition, they can also able to access to the Frontline as well as Sports Star. That way, they will just offering in a package in a combined combo package kind of thing. So that way, they will sustaining as well as continuously getting people's support. Next, freedom movement and the role of the press. So Indian struggle has a unique nature in the history of the freedom struggle. Newspapers and their pens and papers as powerful as weapons. Whatever the articles, through the articles, the newspaper, through their column, they're able to just highlight the atrocities of the Britishers. The editors of the Indian newspaper used their pens like a sharp swords to harass the alien government and to make deep thirst their vulnerable points to expose the oppression and the exploitation. That was there how they have been editors or written. The period that followed in 1857 was a fertile ground for the growth of the national consciousness among the the first 1957 mutiny that arouses consciousness among the Indian to support the nationalist cause In response to the exploitation, humiliation, nationalist newspapers was started during this period, 1857 to 1918. The papers during these papers we'll discuss about what are the newspapers was started in this during this period. Amrit Bazaar Patrika, the Indian Mirror, the Hindu Patriot, Sanjeevani, Bengali in Bengal, the Hindu, the Swadesh Mitran, Andhra Prakasika, and the Kerala Patrika in Madras, the Maratha, the Kesari, the Hindu Prakash, the Sudharak in Mumbai, the Advocate, the Hindustani, the Azad in UP, the Tribune, the Akbar Alam, the Kohinoor in Punjab were some of the prominent among them. They exposed the corruption and exploitation of the exploitation and arrogance and racial discrimination of the British government and aroused national feelings and patriotism during this period, 1957 to 1918. So hope so. So next session we'll just continue with this freedom struggle as a press, and we'll also discuss about the folk media role as well. So what is the importance of the folk media as well, and the emergence of the present scenario as well in next class. So it's right now total 26. So you are supposed to join another link. So here just I will conclude my session. So do you have any doubts? We'll just go further. Otherwise, I will stop and you can join other class well. So you will just find the sub. You will find a new link there. So there next class, I think first semester is even basic communication. So basic communication and journalism is there. Second.
Sir, this Kohinoor paper belongs to which state?
So it's Punjab, sir. It was launched in Punjab, sir.
Punjab.
Punjab.
Okay.
Punjab.
Still, that paper is running?
No, I think so. It's not there, sir. So it was, I said, 1957 to 1918. These are the major papers that played a crucial role. So that,
So who was the editor there? Then who was the editor?
so editor, so I need to just recall. So I will just come back with you, editorial, sir. Right now, just Kohinoor just is given his name, whatever the crucial role it played. So just I will next class I will come with the editor, sir. So editor of this particular.
No, you didn't mention any Urdu papers titles and all that. Siyasat in Hyderabad, so many Urdu papers are there. In
No,
Lucknow,
I'm just highlighting only these during this period, sir. This whatever the how these newspapers played crucial during this 1957 to 1918, sir. So I'm discussing this period
57
only.
to-
So later we'll move on to this paper. We'll also discuss about the basic the origin and growth of the Urdu newspaper as well as the Telugu journalism as well as
Telugu.
the regional newspapers as well as from the state by from the each state, sir. We'll discuss later in later classes the each state level newspapers who started, what kind of a role it played. In later classes, we'll discuss, sir. We'll come up with the material with this.
Holding his own plane to distribute papers.
Yeah, these are the papers that played a crucial role during this period, and that
Okay.
able to just ignite nationalism, national consciousness, unity.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
Right, sir.
Right.
So,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, please join next class. Thank you.
Yes. When will be the next class, sir?
So immediately, sir, you can join, sir. This log out this class.
No, your next class.
Next class, next Sunday, sir.
Next Sunday.
Next Sunday, same timing, sir.
Same timing. Okay.
Same timing. So next Saturday, second Saturday, I believe second Saturday.
Second Saturday. Okay.
Second Saturday and
Not
Sunday.
Sunday. Second Saturday.
Second Saturday.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
So
Thank you, sir.
so much.
रहीम बेग साहब, ये से एग्जिट ले लीजिए, दूसरा और एक जूम कॉल शुरू होएगा.
Okay. और कौन कौन आ रहे हैं
उसमें से
दूसरे
आप ये लीव हो जाइए। आप ये क्लास खत्म हो गई, इसमें से आप निकल जाइए। मैं आपके ग्रुप में और एक लिंक डालेंगे, उसमें ज्वाइन करिए फिर से अभी राइट अवे।
अच्छा, ये नहीं आ रहा सर कि निकलना
हर
गोल्ड
हर
गोल्ड।
क्लास का अलग लिंक है।
अच्छा, हर ये हर एक क्लास
तो
का
दो
एक
क्लास
एक
हो गए,
लिंक है।
तीसरी क्लास का लिंक आप डालेंगे आपके ग्रुप में, आप उसमें ज्वाइन होइए।
ओके।
यहाँ से लीव जूम लिंक या एग्जिट जो भी है आपके पास, उससे यहाँ से निकल
एक
जाइए।
मिनट, फोन आ गया क्लास पे से, और एक लिंक आता है।